Hello everybody, welcome to another True Review. Today I'm bringing you In Between on the Xbox One. It's a puzzle game at heart, but it's more than that. It's really difficult to describe, really. It's quite a emotional journey that the game takes you through. Immediately when you boot the game up, you're thrust straight into the game. No menus or anything, no messing around, and you're greeted with this beautifully hand-painted world full of colours, but the delight of the world itself quickly comes crashing to the ground when the protagonist of this game starts to talk and starts to internal monologue. You quickly establish that the man who I'll refer to, because he's got no name, is terminally ill. We first find him in his hospital bed with his wife upset at his bedside, and you quickly learn that he's suffering from lung cancer and he's terminally ill. The game takes you on a journey through the man's memories of him coming to accept his situation, and that's something the game does really well, because it grabs you, it makes you interested in this character right from the get-go. Some games are kind of an 8-10 hour runtime and you just don't care about the person you're playing as. For me, I wanted to know more about this guy. I felt for this guy straight away. I could identify with the guy's situation because probably a lot of us have been touched by a family member being ill or have had a family member pass away, and dealing with that is what this game is kind of about. Because the levels themselves, once you get to them, are centered around the 5 stages of grief, which are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and finally acceptance. And each of these levels are themed around those stages of coping with this situation. Before we get into what the actual levels themselves, the story in between and throughout the levels is told by him internal monologuing, asking why this has happened, going back to points in his childhood, like saying why am I the one who's suffering from lung cancer, I don't even smoke, things such as that. And it's just it basically takes you through his journey of coming to terms with his situation. And these intermissions happen in between each of the levels, in between each of the stages of grief that you encounter. Now, once you actually get to the game itself, you're greeted with a pretty simplistic puzzle game, to be honest with you. You actually still control your character, and you have to simply get to the exit of each of the maps. The tutorial quickly introduces you to the gameplay mechanics. The left stick simply moves your character left and right, while the right stick changes the gravity. So, for example, if you push up on the right stick, you will now walk on the ceilings. If you push right, you will now walk on the right-sided walls, left-sided walls, etc., and down puts the gravity back to normal. And that simple mechanic is used to negotiate the levels, where you have to change the gravity and then guide your character with the left stick to basically a safe point. And the tutorial, it does a really good job of introducing you to those mechanics and avoiding simple spike traps, which are generally present throughout all the levels. But then when you actually get past the tutorial levels and into the stages of grief levels, they introduce new and exciting gameplay mechanics which go with that theme. Like, for example, the anger levels have red pulsating areas which you have to avoid. Sometimes they follow you as well. The depression area has the levels mainly shrouded in darkness, and you have to manipulate light sources whilst moving through the levels in order to progress. All this is while the guy's internal monologuing as well, describing his situation and his plight. And it's just a game that really grabs you, really. It's hard to describe without actually experiencing it for yourself, but hopefully the video footage kind of does that justice. But it's never going to be the same as playing the game. The game is split into 5 main chapters or areas of grief, plus the tutorial level. Each of the levels, apart from acceptance, has 12 levels to complete. If you're going for all the achievements, you're going to have to complete every level in the game. However, if you just want to simply experience the story, you can get away with only doing 9 levels, with the final 3 of each area being advanced levels and more difficult than the normal levels. But I'm sure if you're an achievement hunter, you're not going to have too much problem getting these, because the achievements are really just for progressing through the game itself and collecting some not so hidden internal memories throughout the levels, which are usually on the beaten path. Going back to the graphics for a second, I mean, as I mentioned, the world is beautifully depicted for use of beautifully hand-drawn painted graphics, which reminded me a little bit of the Bridge hand-drawn graphical style. But the use of colour really makes this stand apart and makes it a quite unique look. When you get in the levels themselves, the graphics are a little bit less detailed because the backgrounds are gone as such, but nevertheless each of the areas is kind of themed around the stage of grief that the man is coming to deal with, and it really does a good job of depicting that. Sound-wise, again, the game excels in this department. There's, like I say, it's not a happy tale, so the tracks themselves are like haunting tracks, sad, melancholy kind of tracks, but there's a good selection of them, and they do fit the tone of the game really, really well. But what the standout part of the sound is the voice acting of the man himself. I'm not sure who the guy who's done it. I don't know if he's one of the developers or he is actually a trained voice actor, but he actually brings such feeling to the character and helps you get this attachment to the man as well. And he's done a really, really bang up job of getting it really, really right, because you do actually, like I say, feel for this guy immediately as soon as you start playing the game. At least I did anyway. I briefly mentioned the achievements. They're really just for completing all the levels. There is one for dying 100 times, which you will get no problem, believe me. And there is one for getting the internal memories as well, which again are all on the beaten path, and another miscellaneous one for watching the end credits, so just don't skip those when you get to them. The game's not without its problems, however. There is a few little faults and glitches which are a little bit annoying. The game has a checkpoint system on some of the longer levels, where you will respawn there if you die, but occasionally, and about 3 or 4 times, it kind of messed up and I respawned a little bit away from the checkpoint system, like above a death trap, and I just instantly fell to my death continuously and just couldn't do anything other than restart the level. It's not a big fault, to be honest with you, because you don't really lose that much progress, but there is some tricky sections before checkpoints that you may have to repeat, but it only happened, like I say, 4 times through its entire runtime. Also, I think sometimes the zones that kill you, like the anger zones, which pulse, which basically make an area of death which you've got to avoid, sometimes they were a little bit trigger happy. There was occasions where I swore I wasn't touching them and the game decided it was going to kill me and reset me back. And there was also an issue with finding all the mined images throughout the levels. Like I say, they're all on the main path and they're not exactly that hidden. And I actually completed the game, collected them all, and I still had over 20% left to actually do. Quickly rectified it by replaying the first few levels where the hidden memories were, and the counter carried on going up and managed to unlock the achievement. So I'm not sure if that was just a bug of certain ones not registering, but a quick recollection of certain ones, and it rectified the problem straight away. But despite them problems, it doesn't really detract that this is a cracking puzzle game. Not only that, the story is something that will pull at probably most people's heartstrings, because we've all lost a family member, and we've all experienced going through unhappy times when somebody gets ill to that effect, and this game really just brings this to home really, and makes you really, really care about the character, pushing you really through the actual game itself just so you can learn more about this guy's plight. But yeah, I'm going to give In Between an amazing 4 out of 5. I would definitely recommend rushing out to buy it, even though you probably can complete it in about 4 to 6 hours depending on skill level, and there's probably very little replayability value. It's one of those games that for me it's more of an experience than a game, and really does stand out for me. So I hope you enjoyed that review, guys. If you want more reviews of indie games coming out, please check out my various social media pages, and remember to like, comment and subscribe on the channel. It does really help me build the channel and get these games to you as quickly as possible. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you on the next review.
She'll be standing there crying for me. I hope she can